It's not an algorithm. This is something beyond that we're tapping into. But being discerning in this process is really critical. There are two stories that come to mind that I talk about in the Upside Down Living book, but they both shifted my perspective when I learned them. So one was a woman who had this amazing awakening experience, and she was on a podcast called Buddha at the Gas Pump, which the host Rick Archer goes through, interviews people who had modern awakening experiences, and he shows, look, there's a lot of awakenings happening. In any event, this woman had a major awakening, was experiencing love toward everyone, and that was her guidance, love toward everything. Then she met a guy and let the guy into her home, and she said the guy was manipulative and made her life hell. She said, I couldn't discern. So she was in this state where she was blindly led by benevolence and love and just was not discriminating as appropriate. So that's an important part of this, is to acknowledge that the discrimination is actually important. To acknowledge it's not always just love and light, that you've got to look at both. And the other one was a woman who was engaging in channeling. And channeling is the process of tapping into an external entity. And there's been science on this. Helene Wabe at the Institute of Noetic Sciences has looked at this. It's not in every case a multiple personality disorder like many people think. There's something unique happening, and there's a book called The Science of Channeling on this. In any event, this woman was tapping into spirits that were guiding her, like entities that were not physical, and they were giving her good advice. And she took the advice for a while, and then they said, look, you should quit your job. She goes, I don't know if this is a good decision. And she ended up leaving her job, and it ended up being a horrible decision. And she heard these entities then laughing, saying, you should kill yourself. Okay.
Wow.
So what happened was, these were demonic beings, which I think are very real. My point is, there is the antenna has to be finely tuned in this guidance process.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I definitely have experienced beings and channeling that was nefarious in nature. And the thing that I think with all this stuff is, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, it's just like humans, right? Like, you're going to get a lot of good stuff, and then, maybe there's some bad ones. And that doesn't mean that you completely abandon intuition or, trying to get guidance with a still mind and all that kind of stuff. One other thing that I wanted to get your opinion on is, this notion of there is some higher intelligence that's orchestrating all of this and that we are a part of it. I think that one of the ways, like the gateway to unity consciousness and seeing that is the synchronicity, is the experience of things being so perfectly choreographed that there's no way that there isn't some type of interconnectedness between all of us and guidance that's happened. And I'd be curious to just get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm with you now. 7+ years ago, I wouldn't have been. I would have said, well, it's not perfectly orchestrated. This is what happens in a big universe. Chance says that we're going to end up with this configuration. To me, that is now the long shot. That's the Hail Mary. I think that is a leap of faith to assume it, given the complexity in the universe. And if you look at like some of the constants in the universe, that scientists have said we live in a Goldilocks universe where the constants are so finely tuned to allow things to exist the way they do. There are lots of examples like that suggest that there is a perfection that could be more parsimoniously explained as there's a higher intelligence involved. And even when I look at my own life and I've seen things have happened, even things that were seemingly negative, I've been totally steered. Everything that I look back on in hindsight, I can see it's like it's too perfect. I couldn't have done that. A supercomputer couldn't have done that either. We're talking about some kind of transcendent consciousness to be able to have a world like this where each individual biological being is having this sort of crazy experience. I do think it's orchestrated.
And I think one thing that helps people see that is when you start to recontextualize your life events for something like the evolution of consciousness. When life is contextualized as all of your preferences being met, and then it's pretty hard to see things and be like, oh, this is all perfect, right? But when you start to look at life in that way, you start to see the meaning in all of it, and that, I think, inspires that sense of awe and awareness to, oh my gosh, like, yes, I am perfectly positioned for this journey that I'm going on. in my own evolution. Thank you for checking out this clip. If you want to see the full episode, you can do so by going up here. I hope you have a wonderful day.